team that wants to exact revenge. Just one, and both teams have a team that's going to be in their way there as well. Of course, queuing up with Barnacle and Dime zones. Of course, we're going to have first map being zones each go around. So both teams, I'd imagine, especially in a best of 5 situation, that of course Inkbound from winners brackets has been dealing with, is set the tone for game 1 and see how the rest of the set goes. And of course, for both teams, they want to avoid going down 2-0 to start off this set right away. Why not get Losers Final underway here, Saf, as we do see Royalty going to be on the Alpha side, Bravo side is going to be Inkbound as we take a look at the weapons. If you remember from a few sets ago, it's exactly what you expect here.
Yeah, I like this bucket pick coming out from Joe. I appreciate that GTR is opting to actually use Wavebreaker instead, which is interesting to me. You actually have a Crab on the side of Inkbound as well, so good key points for Crab Tank to be taken. Already going to be started for Gogeta up here with the Gogeta, if you will. I like Go Get him. Go get him. Go get him coming out with that Crab Tank. They're in control. Inkbound having the upper hand here for a short time, except David getting 2 really awesome picks right in the close range there with the Inkzuka. That's going to make a huge opening for Royalty here, especially with the Tri-Strikes to follow up. Tetra not really having enough space to find some pain here. They're going to have to opt to jump out. They only had maybe 1 shot left on them before ultimately meeting their demise there, but that's going to be Royalty taking the lead here once again, looking to try to infiltrate the base of Inkbound.
And now how do you build upon that lead that you've already started there? There's going to be the very aggressive cooler that Blush, by the way, on that pencil, dishing out right out of the gate. Zuka just slightly missing Gogeta as well. 2 very close shots, and the Crab Tank stays alive, but it had to drop to lower ground, so it wasn't able to throw in a few lob shots there on the zone. It is going to be 2 members down. Somehow Inkbound gets the zone back with just the 2 members alive, which was the splash and the heavy edit on top of it. So it forces Royalty into those penalty points, buy themselves a little bit more time, but Royalty is going to swiftly get the zones back. As soon as I say that, it's going to be back and forth. Trade to love the back and forth that both these teams have, but it's exhausting me just a tiny bit more. Both teams just still duking it out here with for any control of the zone as much as they can.
Yeah, they both are trying to fight with everything that they got. It's been a very neutral position. Finally, though, a 3-member down situation for Inkbound. That's Royalty going to be finding the follow-up here. Gogeta being the last one left alive in the spawning point, but don't turn your back just yet there, GTR, because Inkbound is here to respond. That's going to be them pushing Royalty into the wipeout situation. I mean, you blink and you miss it, Kyon. And now Inkbound having the upper hand here, going to be having a great position to stack specials. Look at that. That's Crab Tank ready. That's Trizuka ready and online. No penalty points standing in their way either. You just have to keep calling the members of Royalty out. That's going to be a huge pick, taking the shot out of the game here. There's space for the Tri-Strikes to happen. However, you have your major painters on the zone there, so that's not even going to matter. As once again, Crab Tank is online for Gogeta for Inkbound here, of 2 different members being called out on the right side there. That's a 1-point difference, Kyon, but Royalty able to follow through. That's Blush back there on the pencil. That's going to be major painting power. Inkbound now in a 3-down scenario. I mean, wow, what a rise and fall there for Inkbound.
So close there too. The dreaded one-play meme straight again, and using one of my favorite phrases of a blink and you miss it. That's truly what it was there too. Before you knew it, Inkbound was already counting down a lot of those points. But now they have to kind of get out of those penalty points here soon. Maybe the bubbler's going to help their cause. Another aggressive cooler being dished out. They lose their shot. Actually, both teams losing their shots there, so it's kind of equaling out. But more importantly, they have the Crab Tank that is available to help clear some space there for Inkbound to play a little bit more aggressive, but they're going to wait to be patient here, look for the time, the strike, and that's Tetra with the decaf there as well. One member also going down with the assist from the other team. That is going to be the lead change. 2 members going down on top of it. Royalty going 2 down. They're going to have to respawn, and Saf Inkbound out of the penalty points and looking to get more, possibly the KO.
Yeah, the Trizuka there taking 2 members down is going to be a major turning point here for Royalty, though, especially if they can keep it up, which they can, because that's multiple members of Inkbound going down now. So now Royalty having a really good position here with the front part of the zone, also looking to maybe take the sniping area as well. That's 4 members of Inkbound kind of bunched up on the right side, looking to try to see if they can poke out. Trizuka's going to try to help out with that, and the bubble's going to allow that extension for just a little bit more here. You have the Tri-Strikes coming out, though, from Joe to try to respond and just keep a little bit more paint down, allowing a lot of room for Blush to try to follow up with the pencil as well. But again, there's Go-Getta on that crab tank up in the right-hand corner, causing a lot of poking damage, not finding any value quite yet. The reach of the bucket is their demise ultimately. Royalty having no penalty points, standing in the Rakion. This could be where Royalty is going to offer pushback with 3 members going down.
To make that a delayed wipe on top of 2, and that's all that Royalty needs. That was a really prolonged zones cap there, but they were able to win out the fights as much as they can, and that's going to be GG. Well played for game number 1 there. Royalty able to claw their way back, turn it into a KO there, and what Inkbound almost had for certain with that lead on top of it. And one of the many questions I had was, how would Inkbound try to respond here soon? And they almost responded in spades throughout. It was such a back and forth battle, but Royalty comes up with the last laugh, and I think, honestly, it really just chalked down to is who got the zones last in critical moments.
Truly, and I really want to shout out Tetra here, because really the name of the game for Inkbound is infiltration, because Tetra able to come in and take that pit area was so big for Inkbound in the moments that they got into the single-digit area. But like you said, it all comes down to who is going to. It's like a turf war, right? It's like that last minute is the crucial moment. Like, who's going to come out on top and actually take the fight all the way home. And so with Royalty, especially with Royalty having that Trizuka right at the end, David taking a really solid pick, just kind of lobbing right over the wall there. I mean, Royalty was able to swoop in, find at least 2 people down. Once you get that number advantage, like in those key moments, it's kind of like, okay, it's all downhill from here.
Yeah, and I think the turf war analogy is just so accurate in that situation too. As the counter break coming out of Inkbound, it is going to be Mako Martara control as well. But going back to that first map there, Saf, the last third, because of how evenly matched both teams were throughout, it really truly did come down to who was getting the zone side last. And I'm actually kind of really excited to see how this best of 5 plays out, not just from a gameplay standpoint, but strategically too. Inkbound coming out with Mako TC. Gonna be, I think there is a sub I believe coming out here, which may lend a little bit more pictures as to why this is getting counterpicked.
Yeah, I would agree with you there of the switch that's being made. I think it'll definitely offer a little bit more mobility for something like tower control, but obviously the key points being, like, wherever that first checkpoint happens to land, you got to be watching the left side, you have to be watching for the flank. So they're switching a flanker for a flanker, but they have different styles of how they like to do it. So I think with having a little bit more obstacles here, it's going to be interesting having Aloha actually switching in for Tetra. But as the crow flies, we don't get to talk about it yet.
But I was gonna say, I think we were both reared up, ready to go. Talk about how this was gonna play out. Try to build up a little bit more tension, if you will, Saf. And then of course the 5 words of a communication error has occurred shows up. We'll have to wait and see where that plays out. But I was gonna say, I think that's gonna be the one thing that I was gonna be intrigued about from Inkbound and Royalty was how does this counterpick for Inkbound play out? Which I guess, Saf, we'll have to wait a little, maybe.
Well, on that note, you asked me earlier, so I'd like to maybe ask you, how was your Riptide experience? Like I said, from all the way from the Riptide finals desk down to over here, the IPL production desk on grand finals of Low Inc. September 2024. How was your Riptide experience?
My Riptide experience was awesome, and it was good to see a lot of cool friends from Splatoon, especially you, of course, Saf, as well. But a lot of members from a lot of my different circles. DRF and Nito was really happy to see from earlier as well. We got to see Inkfair or Inky on top of it. On top of it, so my Riptide experience was awesome. You noted there too, from me hopping into grand finals for Riptide now to the final stages of Low Inc here in September 2024. It feels like home. Really. It really was lateral too. Also the added bonus of opening Riptide as well. So I basically got both ends of the Riptide experience. It was a lot of fun, and I know I asked you earlier in the break, but how was yours?
It was phenomenal. Getting to see all your friends is always such a great feeling. And it's hard because it's like it's been said before, since these events keep growing and growing, it's really hard to actually get to talk to everybody. And so sometimes the people you spend time with when you start to go to more and more of these things, like, it's different every time. Like, I feel like you get like your key group of people that you tend to maximize your time with. However, it feels like there's other people that you don't get to see as often, and it kind of just depends on like what's happening throughout the day if you get to really talk to them as much, and how many people, like the sheer amount of people that are actually there. I actually just had the Riptide Start GG open a little bit ago. There was 2,000 attendees, a little more than that total for the whole event. So like, you know, a fraction of that is Splatoon. But it's like there's a lot of people. You see a lot of people, a lot of faces. It's really overwhelming, but it's always a good time, and it's just nice to get to spend the time that we do have.
And I think the best part, the best part is, especially with the 2,000, good chunk of it for me with Splatoon was just not only getting to meet the people, but just getting to meet the people with very similar interests as yours throughout as well. I mean, we just got to saw a lot of incredible people out there from Riptide. For myself, it's my second year going to Riptide. My first time was last year, so that was a lot of fun to just get to meet the community in general. There. So, you know what, Rizef, hopefully next year brings upon a lot of joys again, and on top of it, getting to meet even more people as well, which that's a whole off on that thought. So we're always gonna be stretching in to talk about more people.
Yeah, put a pin in that. We don't got time for that. We're in low ink losers finals right now, Keon. Like, what are you even talking about Riptide for? Anyway, that's over and done with. Okay, so Kiko switching over to the Headit. You have also the Carbon Roller coming out as well for Inkbound. Again, the range. Inkbound has a lot of range and wears many hats as a team with a lot of players on their roster. So Larry looking to try to take a fight with GTR. That GTR going to be the successor, though. With the follow-up from the Headit, though, that's going to be major, as Go Geta positioning themselves well with the Crab Tank on the tower. That's first checkpoint going to fall for Inkbound. So really strong punch being thrown here in the first 30 seconds by Inkbound. But Royalty, this blaster, Keon, coming out from GTR, this is going to be a thorn in Inkbound's side.
That's one of the many things Inkbound has to deal with. You noted was that range blaster. It's going to be curious to see how GTR is going to be able to turn that into Royalty's advantage. And the thing I had a lot of eyes on is Inkbound's switch to the Carbon Roller deco, and they are also supplying that with a lot of paint. So this is going to be a Carbon Roller deco that will just be looking for a lot of picks deep into Royalty's base, and then try to build up with those Zukas. So this could be the Inkbound strategy seems to be clear so far, but I'm gonna be intrigued if Royalty has a way to counter that through. It's already gonna be a delayed 3. The first points are gonna be on the board here for Royalty, and they're still able to find a lot more. A lot of ground's been lost from Inkbound. Royalty looking for the first punch here, looking to clear the first checkpoint even.
Yeah, I don't think Inkbound was really ready for the team fight, unfortunately. So Royalty going to be launching themselves through the first checkpoint. 2 members going down, though. Make it 3. That is going to have to force the Pencil to backtrack. So Inkbound looking for the opening that they desired here. You have Go Geta offering a lot of painting power. It seems a little bit more supportive this time around, Keon, with their crab tanks too, especially. Definitely holding a lot of more distance for themselves so that they can use it to the full fruition. Larry looking to try to get a pick off of the ledges here, but not finding any value, as I believe that was a burst bomb taking them out here. But look at that opening pressure that David was going to be trying to take, but that's Go Geta up on the ledge with 2 members down going on Inkbound. It seems like Inkbound is a lot more delayed coming into the map this time. And so they're not quite ready for whenever the team fight is going to occur from Royalty. So it seems like Royalty is really good at throwing like a larger punch, but Inkbound is really good, I feel like, in their 1v1 fights.
A few train of thoughts to help supplant possibly the slow starts that we're seeing from Inkbound there is one, trying to get full control of the map. Look for wit, and then the current roller, of course, trying to find avenues to strike against Royalty, but Royalty's been snuffing them out each go around, which is why we're kind of seeing a lot of these plays kind of being a little slow developed there, which lends a little bit more advantage to Royalty if they can afford to play a little bit more aggressive. We do get to see David there with a pick onto Kiko on top of it too, and is able to take down 2, and it is going to slow down any sums of defense that Inkbound was going to have, which they lost the Carbon Roller deck on top of it. Things could go out of control in a hurry there too. Zuka not quite able to find Aloha, so able to live for another day, but they can't get past 63 points remaining here. David is still right in the tower, but it is going to be 2 down. This Royalty push is going to get stalled out here, Saf.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like Inkbound is a lot more staggered, but they're being staggered at the front of their base. So it's like as soon as you take one of them out, somebody else is immediately back in. Like they're not going to be gone for very long. So this is now Inkbound once again with the follow-up here. You can see all members of Royalty trying to get stacked up on that left-hand side there, but not with Gilgina on that crab tank, launching at least one good shot there to get one pick. Definitely a lot of poke came out from that as well, but I mean, not enough range coming up from the teammates to really help out much more with that. So a minute and some change left, and now you can see Royalty going to be pushing up on the right-hand stack there, especially leaving room for Blush and for David there. A double assist pick. Not sure who really got the final say in that fight there, but that's going to be Royalty with less than a minute remaining here, looking to try and take some space, and especially now with 2 members down, that's a huge advantage that they have here. They got to be watching for Aloha, though, Keon.
Yeah, they gotta watch out for Aloha, but Aloha is shut down, and Aloha needed that hammer to really strike big for them. And with 3 members going down, the lead changes hands. 35 seconds left to go. They clear the second checkpoint. The cooler's been dished out. This is gonna be full aggression now for Royalty. If they can make this one count, the Zuka finds a double on top of it, and the defense crumbles like a deck of cards, and it will be the 3rd checkpoint cleared. This could snowball into a KO here. It happened so fast, Seth. You couldn't believe it. It's a 2-0 set lead for Royalty.
Royalty knows how to play the long game. They know how to play the long game because that was consistently pretty neutral throughout the first 2 games of this set. And as soon as the last minute bell has chimed, that is when Royalty locks in, because this is where the lead change happens. You have Blush dancing around the tower, the cooler comes out, David finding a top heavy position with the Trizuka. There's so many surfaces for the Trizuka to find contact with, and especially the poke coming out from the teammate that is below that little box on the right hand side with the strike. Like everything stacks so well for Royalty here, and then you have just enough people that can just replace themselves on the tower when their other teammate goes down. I mean, just incredible gameplay from especially from David in those closing seconds there. So Inkbound keeps getting really comfortable near the end, and it keeps forcing them to have to push through the counterpicking scenario. So Clamblitz Robo Ramen is going to be their counterpick, and it really does seem like Inkbound truly shines on Clamblitz. So hopefully Robo Ramen can offer a similar feeling, a similar outcome. I mean, who's to say?
That's gonna be the intriguing thing here for Inkbound, because here's the other wrinkle to the counterpicks here, Saf. This is Inkbound's effectively. This is Inkbound's last counterpick against Royalty. If they win the next 2, Royalty has counterpicks the rest of the way. It's a really rough place to be in for Inkbound, so they gotta make this count for Robo Ramen Clamblitz. And obviously to quote a couple times, I believe Popgun would mention this to Saf here too, is you do not want to be down 2-0 in a counterpick situation there as well, because you effectively burned both your counterpicks really early, and now Royalty will be looking to get the upper hand and go for the win in this best of 5 here in losers final. So I'd imagine though, Saf, Inkbound should not be rattled in this situation. They have to win the next 3. It will be a very difficult road, but if it's anything we can attest from Inkbound, they're still a very tough team, especially with how game two, at least before the last 35 seconds played out.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like Inkbound gets in a comfortable position where they're like, all right, like this much time has passed, like we can just kind of play it more safe, we can play defense, like just kind of space ourselves out. But with Royalty, it's like they just need that one opening when it's in the last minute. Like they save all of their strength for the final moments to really hash it all out. It's like they literally take the entire game to gather information, dynamo, and then it's like they try to gather some information, and then that's when they take the final moment to strike. And so I feel that Inkbound, or like you said, Inkbound having to burn up their counterpicks, having to use their last counterpick on Clamblitz, I feel like this could be where they want to try to turn it around, but I'm wondering where the chumps fit into all of this. The chump at all, if you will.
This is going to be the intriguing pick here from Royalty, is the Gold Dynamo making a grand appearance. I usually see Gold Dynamos, especially in Ramen, but more in the context for zones. Clams is going to be intriguing there too. I believe this could make sense with the way with how the openings work for the basket in Ramen Clan Blitz, especially where the basket's located. So that's going to be the one thing to keep an eye there for Inkbound. Or excuse me, Royalty. That's that scene that has the Gold Dynamo. Inkbound, on the other hand, I think almost went with a wholesale change with the 52, the custom blaster, excuse me, and then of course for those who may still believe in Neo Splash, that's making their appearance as well. So I'm gonna be curious to see how all the puzzle pieces for Inkbound with all these changes fundamentally play out here as Saf, as I feel like we've said a couple maps ago, kind of a neutral game.
Yeah, it still seems to be at that point. You have Joe and GTR trying to push up together here. GTR offering just kind of waves of pain. It does mean that Inkbound has to keep their distance a little bit. I mean, their furthest range being the Head-It for sure, and having to be a little more supportive with the Neo Splash as well. But that's going to be two members of Inkbound going down. The Strikes as well going to try to follow up. That's Gogeta on the Blaster, taking down the Onslaught from the Bucket that was going to get the position from Royalty. So they do have a Power Clam online, and it looks like we're kind of waiting for our teammates to spawn back in, but not much to say when the game kind of gets in a neutral state like this. Like, you're trying to get your specials stacked, you're trying to maybe get a pick or two in to see if you can, like, make some sort of opening, but I feel like, Keon, with the specials and the changes that we have, what do you think a key to success would be here?
For both teams, there are a few things I'd like to keep an eye on. Is Royalty will, if we pay attention to a specials context there, the chumps are likely going to be the last specials to be used. It's going to have to be enabled by filling up the space there. Either you get picks with the Zuka, and then the Trip Strikes to help clear out that space is going to be the big thing. Of course, ignore the elephant in the room that the cooler is going to be there, which is the big value. For Inkbound, it's kind of all over the place. I'd imagine the Neo Splash is going to be there to help provide paint and a lot more coverage to get as much ground as they can. They also have the custom blaster, hopefully either defensively or offensively to do the same idea with the push. And of course, you have the 52 to help build up some offense there. GTR shuts down what could have been a possible push for Inkbound. The Gold Dynamo kind of still working large. You got to respect it each time. So those are the things I'd like to keep an eye on. As again, if you pay attention to a specials context as well. And we're about 3 minutes in, Saf. There is no score on the board.
No score on the board. I'm enjoying watching DTR actually jump back to their teammates as a Gold Dynamo as well. They've been really maintaining their distance well. Because consistently, Inkbound is known for, it seems like, getting a lot of poking damage onto people. And oh my gosh, here comes David once again, bulldozing through the competition with the Trizuka. That's going to be two different people down again, looking to try to get a third. Got a really great assist there. That's going to be folks of Inkbound getting a little staggered, trying to come back into the map here. You can see Aloha trying to spread out the Killer Whale. That's actually a very great displacement tool because, as you can see, both footballs had to were forced to actually back up. They still have great control over mid, but that's going to be Aloha waiting for a teammate to try to follow up with them here as Royalty is actually getting closed back into their spawning point.
A little surprised there that even with the Zuka double, they still had to forcibly retreat, especially with the displacement there. So that was interesting. Good for Inkbound, but Royalty still will be strong with the two Power Clams. They take out. There's 3 members down on Inkbound, but so is 2 for Royalty, and the direct lands from. I know it's gonna be either Gogeta, but whatever you have nailed a direct. That was huge there, and Inkbound still working large. It allows one of the Power Clams to despawn, and it's a 1-for-1 trade. They lose 1 Power Clam in the on offensive from Royalty side. Inkbound is still losing members, but the way these pushes are developing, they are effectively very slow developing as we speak. Triptrix there to help clear out the space. The custom blaster going down, that might be huge. Right now, GTR has to escape. There are 2 Power Clams online here, Saf, as they do retreat. Could we be seeing either at least a 6-minute OT the way things are going, or is Royalty looking to look for the first punch here? GTR gets 1-for-1 trade. Saf, 8 seconds left.
Yeah, I mean, so many Power Clams on the board, too. We just went from 22 to 16 for Royalty and 2 members down. You can see that they're trying to back up as fast as they can. But Inkbound is being really aggressive here. However, there's no Clams or Power Clam online for them to really do anything about it. So that's going to be Joe having to leave that one power clam behind. Finally, you can see Kiko trying to follow up behind there with a power clam of their own. And the infiltration technique from Inkbound is going to come through here. The jump with the power clams coming in. Not enough time, though, to throw it in there, so that is going to suspend the push even further from Inkbound. But that is... What? Where did they jump into? Oh my god, we need to slow the replay down. We need to slow it down. Where was that's going to be the question of the day, is where was Gogeta? Where was Geta? Where were they? Okay, so overtime push is happening. We're in the first couple seconds. Joe backs off. The power clam's in their hands. We're going to fast forward a little bit. So here comes Larry on the side. Gogeta's down. Kiko follows up with the clam. This is kind of where things are going to start to shift a little bit. You see all 4 members of Inkbound getting set up here. You can see Aloha breaking through, making a trail, and the tri-strikes are going to follow up with them. The jump coming in. Not sure who that is jumping. That's Kiko jumping. Power clam falls down. There's somebody there on the left. Larry's there on the left. So where is Gogeta?
Yeah, that's what. So where does Gogeta come in? Did Gogeta come in from the other side? It's the other side.
Other side. They come in from the far left side, from the perspective of Royalty spawn. The far left hand side. It seemed like maybe they were just waiting there for the perfect moment to strike, and it was, and they did.
You know what? A lot of credit to Gogeta recognizing that everybody was so invested. From the perspective of Inkbound, just the right side defense, because they sent what three members were being sent in from Inkbound. It's like, okay, we're gonna try to attack from the front. Gogeta's like, no, I'll take the other direction. Just distract them a little bit. The power clam is in great position. And
do they know?
Again,
do they know?
The trail of paint there was just enough. And again, I think, pardon me, if I want to give credit to Inkbound there, Saf, a little bit misdirection, but with a purpose, if you will. And Royalty was just caught a little off guard.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with you there. I mean, they had the keys to success in their hands through the entirety of that match. They had 3 different members down. I mean, Gogeta really waited that one out. They really played the long game with that before moving in to try to strike. And I'd imagine that once they saw things start to topple with the original push, that's when they decided, like, I have to do something here. And as you said, like, once the camera panned over, you could see the trail of ink from that far left side. So a very subtle paint job going on over there, while everything else was happening right in front of us. So well played by them, very patient play by them. But so as we were saying before, moving on to what's on the screen here, Royalty now being in the counter pick situation. Rainmaker Crableg's going to be their pick, which I believe, Keon, we just saw this as a counter pick, no? And wasn't it actually from Inkbound, or was it? It
was Inkbound. It was Inkbound.
Yeah, interesting. So that's a huge upper hand for Royalty, or for Inkbound, actually. That could be.
I feel like Inkbound is... I think Inkbound, considering the fact that they did counterpick, again, against Sigma, from Sigma on Earth, that is... They may bring out a similar-ish game plan against Royalty, and I think I could imagine some members thinking about, like, okay, they actually counterpicked a map that we tried to counterpick against Sigma, in a sense. But contextually, though, it's 2 different teams in this case. Inkbound will be a little bit more prepared for Royalty, but now this time it's going to be Royalty on that end for Crableg Capital Rainmaker, and this is going to be the one I'm intrigued about. We saw Inkbound go wholesale on their weapon changes in the previous one, and almost worked in the last minute. Basically, it did work up until the last minute. The question is, how does it work here? And Kiko's, I believe, back to that Hydra with the screen. There's a stamper on the board here for Royalty. That's the changes that we have here, Saf.
Yeah, and I like this a lot because Joe has changed what they play in almost every round that we've seen them in, which I think is so much fun. So Rainmaker Pop actually... Poor Larry getting taken down in the Rainmaker Pop right away. That's going to allow Joe and David to infiltrate through. That's 3 members being taken down. That's Royalty, Keon, making the first throw into popping the checkpoint.
Yeah, just that 3-down situation. Just was like, all right, we'll just take the checkpoint. What's the easiest one we can find? Going to be on the left-hand side. That's where they've opted to, and why not at that stage? So now the bigger question, Inkbound already down with the checkpoint. There's still plenty of time, of course. 4 minutes and 17 seconds is an eternity. Unless Royalty has other plans. Already popped that Rainmaker, jumping right through with catching with 62 points on the board. The screen's being dished out there. It's going to displace Royalty a bit. They're trying to make sure they avoid going dark. And as Joel kind of retreating a little bit there on top of it, it does buy themselves enough space. Inkbound should hold for another day. That's a strong opening push, though, from Royalty there, Saf.
Yeah, that's incredible from Royalty. Getting the Rainmaker up onto the platform already, is going to be a really big momentous push for Royalty. Inkbound really needs to be watching their steps here. You can see, though, they have a really solid hold on mid. That's going to be Kiko following up with the pick onto David and picking up the Rainmaker as well. Seeing a repeat, actually, of what Inkbound did previously. That's going to be them clapping back and taking the first checkpoint of their own. The Ink Mines here going to be huge and holding some space for Kiko, but David is so fierce on that Trizuka, they do have to be forced to jump out. So that is going to be Royalty trying to respond here, and already you can see folks are trying to push up and maybe allow some safe passage for David here, but that's Larry on the Crab Tank in a very high position with a wall to boot as well to maybe prevent any more damage to be had, and Joe coming out on the Zipcaster. That's going to be 2 different members of Inkbound going down here. Again, in a neutral state for sure, but I feel like Joe is being a lot more challenging towards people with being on this Stamper.
I think that Stamper Joel has a goal with that Stamper is just trying to use a Zipcaster and then look to see if they can catch Royalty off guard with any of the angles they could find, and that's gonna be the big challenger from Inkbound is how do you even deal with the newfound aggression that Joel's gonna be the one dishing out. Again, both teams in a no checkpoint situation right now, so free reign depends on what. So that's why team fights are going to be more important. It also depends on who stays up the most. That's what I was going to note there as well. Cooler's going to be the one is also going to be dished out there from Royalty. They burned the Cooler as well. The Rainmaker is going to get dropped there as well. Larry's gonna get a nice little pick there on top of it, and as you've noted, it's been a neutral situation and still going strong there. Joel trying to see if they can find any advantages with the Stamper. Believe it's not gonna find anybody from what I see there on the side, but Inkbound takes out 3, and this will be the lead change.
Yeah, Larry barely making that jump there, taking it down to the 20 mark, but all of that distractionary pressure allowing the other members of Inkbound to push forward. That's Aloha on the pit area here, and that's 2 different folks from Royalty immediately shifting their attention. 2 members of Inkbound now going down, make it 3. That's going to prevent any more forward momentum for them at this point, but 20 on the board from Inkbound. Royalty going to be needing to follow up with a few more points of their own, and that the Zipcaster. I always the one special that I always struggle with forgetting the name of is the Zipcaster. Every time, and I can't explain why that is. Anyways, Zipcaster is online, or it was online, was going to be used, but that's 2 different members of Royalty getting stuck in the corner there. Look at Aloha being able to push up and use the Killer Whale. Now Inkbound having the Rainmaker in their possession once again. Keon, they're not satisfied with the 20 points, especially with less than a minute left to go.
So the timer's gonna be around 10 seconds or 9 seconds or so. So they won't be able to stall it as much as they could have in that situation. Inkbound doesn't, as you know, there too. Inkbound may not be satisfied, but will it come back to slowly bite them, because there is gonna be some space that Royalty needs to build. And Davis is throwing out any miracle Zuka shots. They are not gonna find anybody else, but Inkbound is getting staggered out here. They're losing members in delayed situations, which may build up a lot of space for Royalty to strike there, but Gogeta breaks free, trying to find those blaster directs, not able to find them whatsoever, as Rainmaker is now pushing up to the right-hand side. Inkbound has gone 2 down. This could be the same script from before, but they lose 3. Again, another delayed wipe. There's all the members for Royalty moving up ahead, and they will get the lead with a 1-point difference. It happened again here, Saf. 5 seconds left to go on the clock. 2 members have gone down. Picking up the Rainmaker there as well for 2 extra points. Overtime is going to kick in. Aloha is going to be the one to hold the Rainmaker for effectively the rest of the duration here. The question is, can Joel find the pick that they need? Not able to do so. Will be lurking large. They're going to have to find picks. There's the retreat there as well. Inkbound still moving right up ahead there. Gogeta's trying to see if they can find any more directs on that layer there. The burst bomb is going to be coming through there as well. Screen being used. 2 members have gone down. This is going to be a slow march to the finish line. I can only imagine there as the Zuka shots threatening Aloha from Aloha's in. They all collapse onto it. And Saf, it happened again. Inkbound loses the lead in the last 20 seconds,
The
and
long
Royalty
game.
wins 3-1.
The long game, my friend. I'm
Yep.
saying it now. I will say it again. They're very good at playing this. When people talk about playing the game patiently, this is the set that they need to be looking at. This is the set they need to be looking at, because Royalty can do just that. They really make you think that it's going to be a challenging battle for them to try to bounce back from it. They really make us think that Inkbound has all the cards on the table. But really, Royalty comes down with a royal flush at that. They come down and slap that in front of all of us, and they take it down to a 3-1 scenario. But every game that they took, they narrowly took the lead back with less than a minute remaining or in overtime. So the huge win coming from Royalty. I'm really excited to see them move forward, especially with the fight that Sigma on Earth has been